guys, welcome back or welcome to Georgie Ogden Astrology. In this video, we're going to be talking about the planet Mars. Basically, the key components of Mars, what does it do, what does it represent in astrology, and how does it show up? So this is just kind of basic information around Mars as a planet to help you, especially if you're a beginner in astrology, to actually understand what does Mars do, how does it show up, and just give you that real understanding of it as a planet. And then you can take this information and work it through the zodiac sign, work it through the signs, work it through the houses, work it through the aspects. Now, before we get into it, please, if you don't subscribe to my channel, click it right now. Do it. Click the subscribe button so you don't miss any more content from me. Give the video a thumbs up if you got value from it, please. It helps push the channel out. Really appreciate it. And let's get into it. So, Mars is our masculine energy, okay? It's our masculine energy. And Mars is a planet in the birth chart, in astrology in general, basically has good and bad. Now, traditionally, Mars is a malefic planet. That means it's a negative planet. This is raging right back to traditional astrology. The Egyptians, the Babylonians thought Mars was a bad, like a piece of work, a baddie. Because Mars does represent a lot of bad things. However, Mars can also be good, and we do need Mars because it is our energy. So I'm going to explain the good side and the bad side of Mars and how this can possibly show up. So when we think about Mars, like I said, it's our masculine energy, and it really is the god of war. So it was the Roman god of war, and it's the sign of the warrior. So because of this, Mars is our aggression. It's how we combat, it's how we deal with conflict, it's how we go into things. And we need energy to go into things. We need motivation, we need drive. So think of that fire burning inside of you when you want to get something done, when you have conflict, when you have something to say, when you want to move forward within whatever it is, that drive, that motivation, that raw primal energy, that is coming from your Mars, okay? So whichever sign your Mars is in, whichever aspects are being made to your Mars are going to have an impact on how you assert that energy. For example, if you're born under a Mars retrograde, you're going to struggle to assert yourself, and you're probably going to go around in circles before you can move forward. The zodiac sign is huge importance of how you're expressing this energy. In a water sign, Mars doesn't do that great because, apart from Scorpio, it rules Scorpio. I'm thinking of Cancer and Pisces because they're so watery and sensitive that Mars struggles to really assert itself effectively, okay? Because, for example, in Pisces, there's not a lot of boundaries there. So Mars struggles to assert itself. Whereas in Capricorn, where it's exalted, Mars can really get to work because Capricorn is very disciplined and very structured, and Mars can really get set to work towards what it wants to achieve. So if you've got Mars and Capricorn, congratulations, it's a great placement for Mars. Now, Mars rules Aries, and traditionally it rules Scorpio. So Mars does do really well in Aries and Scorpio. Aries is a fire sign. Mars actually does well in all the fire signs because fire is a fast energy and Mars can get to work. However, Mars in these signs is more aggressive because it can get to work. There's nothing slowing it down, right? Mars in Capricorn, however, is more grounded and practical work. So this is why it's exalted here, because it's got the energy and the determination and the hard work ethic that Capricorn has, but it's in a more practical and grounded and structured way. So Mars does really well in Capricorn. Now, Cancer is opposite Capricorn. So Mars is in its fall in Cancer. Cancer's too emotional. It's too emotional. It's emotion. It thinks with its emotions. So Mars in Cancer thinks with its emotions, which isn't very good if you want to assert yourself and you're thinking with your emotions all the time. So that is why Mars doesn't necessarily do that well in Cancer. Now, Mars in Scorpio, because Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars. Scorpio is a blend of water and fire, and Scorpio can channel this energy really precisely like a sniper, and therefore it waits. It's more patient in Scorpio because Scorpio waits for the right time to pounce, and then it can hone down exactly what it wants to do and it can assert itself. Okay, so Mars in Scorpio is a great placement for Mars to be. Now, Mars is destruction. Okay, so when we think about the negative effects of Mars, so on the positive side, Mars is our energy, it's our action, it's also our sexual energy. So you know, that really inner instinct. So that is going to be affected by which sign it's in for you. But the downside of Mars is that it severs. So it's like it cuts, it severs, it's accidents, it's harsh endings. So for example, you can apply this to your chart. So if you were to have Mars in the 9th house in the natal chart, this is the type of placement that's gonna, you're going to quit education, you're going to quit college, you're going to quit uni because Mars is severing. If you have Mars in the 2nd house of finances, you've got the energy to earn the money, but you've also got the energy to spend the money. Okay, so it can work both ways. Mars is also accident. So Mars in the 1st house can be accident prone because the 1st house is your physical body. So you can be very accident prone. On the other hand, you can also be a very motivated individual and have a lot of energy to get stuff done with Mars in the 1st house. Now, with Mars, with the downside of Mars, again, it's going back to kind of the severing. It represents kind of cuts and blood and violence and injuries and things bleeding. This is all Martian stuff. So if you're having a Mars transit, Mars transiting and it's hitting certain planets, and you go and injure yourself, or you cut yourself, or you break your elbow, or something like this. This comes from these are all things to do with Mars. So sudden breakages in the skin, sudden endings to something, cutting off, cutting ties, violent crimes come from Mars. So there's a lot of unnice things that do come from Mars. So can you see we've got the good and the bad energy, and it all depends on how things are being aspected. Traditionally, so like a Mars transit is seen as negative because it's like, yes, then you can get some positives, there's going to be a lot of energy there, but actually, what else is going to happen? So watch out where Mars goes, because it can help, but it can also hinder. Mars is also obviously conflict. So it's your fight style, it's how you combat. So sometimes if a Mars is too strong in someone's chart, they're very argumentative, they're very aggressive, and this is going to be coming from their Mars. So aspects are really, really important to your Mars. Squares to Mars are going to make you more likely to channel this in a negative sense. Mars loves competition, okay, and this is you know, it makes sense for Aries. Very competitive. It always wants you to win. There's no coming second with Mars. It wants you to win, which is obviously great for that motivation inside you, that getting things done. Mars wants to win. Again, we need to keep this in a healthy sense rather than a aggressive sense. Mars is totally opposite to Venus. So we need both because we need our feminine energy and our masculine energy, but Mars is the masculine energy, okay? And if Mars is placed on an angle, you will feel this more strongly, even if it's regardless of whichever sign it's in. So for example, if your Mars is on your MC, but it's in Cancer where it doesn't necessarily do well, you will still have that drive because it's on your MC, your public image. And so the angle is making it more powerful in moving towards your career, for example, being on the MC. So angles are important as well. Mars also represents danger, taking risks. It's very risk taking. So people with a lot of either Aries placements or Mars placements, or even Scorpio placements, can be more likely to want to take risks. There's no fear with Mars. Again, it's going back to the archetype of the warrior. No fear, impulsive, going for it, really channeling everything into just going for it and believing something is going to work. It's the courage, okay? So Mars in that sense is great. But again, it's coming back to the balance of sensible and stupid. So a bad Mars can make you be accident prone, impatient. Impatient is a very strong word for Mars people. Flamboyant. Obviously, the really negative side of Mars is violence and murder and evil. But then the good side of Mars is obviously having that courage, having that energy, having that discipline to go after what you want. And it's just about channeling your Mars. If you do feel like you have a bad Mars and you do have a lot of pent up energy, you can channel this, channel it into sports, channel it into exercise, because all it is quite literally masculine energy that you need to physically get out of you. Even like shaking it out of you is a good way to get rid of that pent up energy. Go for a run, go and do some sport. If you're in a relationship and you've both got your Mars that's not aspecting each other very well, go and play sport together. Get rid of that excess energy out of you, because it's literally being stuck in you. And this is a way that you can deal with your Mars if you have a Mars that is overbearing and overpowering. So that's pretty much all I have for Mars, the basics of Mars. Pay attention to when Mars is transiting in your own chart, and then you can start to see patterns and how things come up for you, and have a look at how your Mars plays out in your own chart. This is going to be where there's energy in your chart, things that you, again, it is about enjoyment and things that you enjoy, as well as maybe some difficulties in that area. It's just an area of focus. So have a look at your own chart and see how you resonate. Please let me know in the comments where your Mars is, which house is it in, which zodiac sign it's in. If you got some kind of value from this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Lots of love.